So this is a bit awkward. We're about to start the YouTube preview here for tonight's episode of More Paine, and we're having some problems with Mike Moore's phone number. So now, hey, I just went live, Mike. Can you text me the number you'd like me to call you on, or should I just call you on this one? This one usually has bad reception too. Okay, what would you like to do? Can't hear you. Text me the number you want me to call you on, okay? Because I can't hear you at all. Bye-bye. I don't know, it's funny. Usually in Philadelphia, you get great internet reception because Comcast basically runs that joint, but that's not happening tonight. We'll see if we can get Mike on here. We're going to be bringing everybody some information about a cornucopia of psychotic crap that's going on right now. Everybody's been following very closely this arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell, and that's quite an interesting thing. I don't know if people are aware of this, but I was looking up Giuffre v. Maxwell. That's the civil suit that's been brought against Ghislaine Maxwell by Virginia Roberts Giuffre. It's really funny. The case number for it is 7433. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. But of course, the criminal complaint against Maxwell is 20CR330. So that's a coincidence as well. Lots of 33s in there, and I'm sure that happens all the time, No, nothing odd about that, right? We should be getting Mike here in just a moment.
Hello.
Okay, Mike, we got you now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Comcast has been screwing up all day, so we're battling through it, and it's been one of those days off and on, off and on, off and on.
Well, that's cool. We can do it this way, no big deal. And
well, we'll try to get it. I got somebody looking at it while I'm out here yapping.
No problem.
For the main show tonight, so at the 8:30 show. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Right. And you're talking, of course, about, man? Well, not much, but the main show you're talking about, of course, Mike, is the sponsor exclusive segment that's going to be starting in 25 minutes on subscribestar.com and patreon.com/True Pundit, and also Subscribestar and Patreon for Crowdsource the Truth. Mike, there's so much going on right now. I was just talking about how both the criminal complaint against Ghislaine Maxwell, 20CR330, and the civil suit brought by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, that case number, I don't know if you know this, I don't know if you care about this, but that's 7433. A lot of 33s in these Ghislaine Maxwell cases. I think there's something screwy about it. Where are you at on the whole thing?
On the numerology, you mean?
Just Ghislaine Maxwell's case, not the numerology. I don't think that's numerology. I think that's a steganographic marker. That's a message that somebody put on these things to let everybody around the world who's in the know realize that this is under control. That's my opinion.
Oh, well, it's completely under control. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who make money in the media pretending that it's not under control, pretending that something's going to come from this. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people get sucked into this, and especially at a crucial time now and be focusing on other things that matter in your life. I don't think Ghislaine Maxwell matters two shits in my life right now. I'm just being completely honest. It doesn't make any sense. The timing's off. The indictment is a disgrace. And we'll talk
a disgrace
about
it? Yeah, well, okay, so we'll get into detail there. But
so
when you say the timing is off,
it's a joke.
Yeah, Bishop, we have
the timing
so many
is
people
off,
joining us this afternoon. Sorry, and I received messages.
Epstein was arrested in July, right?
Yes.
Yeah. if she wasn't cooperating, and it doesn't look like she was at the time, she should have been picked up 60, 90 days later. She should have been indicted. So the timing is off. Like for them to sit back and pretend that this they spent a year on this case, and when you look at the indictment, it's so light. It doesn't it doesn't even deal with. Incredibly, the indictment. I'll just give you an example, and we'll tackle it tonight. But I don't want to talk the whole night about it because I think it's a massive distraction. But just for an example, they talk about one of the victims was sexually assaulted by Maxwell in New Mexico. All right, it's in the indictment, but they don't charge her with. They don't charge her with it. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cynical laugh. It's people are like, oh, this guy's laughing. No, I'm not laughing. It's like I can't do anything but laugh because it's so twisted that you would actually lay out the case. And we know folks who are have been following the case. They don't mention the names of the the victims in the case, but we know that who they are from watching the Netflix series and just keeping up all the way from the 1990s. This goes back. And so it's a joke. It's a disgrace. And anything that's happened since 1997, nothing is in the indictment. It's a slap in the face to the dozens, I would say hundreds of victims, but we can say dozens and keep it conservative, to the dozens of victims who came forward and spilled their guts, including the guy I took up to the FBI. It's a slap in the face, and that's how it's seen by the victims. And to me, in cases like this, that's the only jury that I care about, what the victims think. I don't care what the public thinks. I don't care what the DOJ thinks, and and that kind of stuff, and the FBI. I care about how it's read and perceived by the victims, because they're the ones who have the most to lose and gain from it, and it looks like they're going to get slighted again, and that's why I mean that it's a joke.
Well, people are agreeing with you.
It's mayhem. It's on this media channel. It's on that media. It's all bullshit.
Right.
Details of the raid. It's all bullshit. This is all theater, and it's sad. And it's put out. The timing again is problematic because it's a distraction away from the fact that our lives are crumbling and our civil liberties are crumbling right before us. And folks need to be focused on that. Instead, they're worried about some socialites who were molesting kids, allegedly. I'll say allegedly loosely, but I'll just throw it out there for the hell of it. For decades, and the FBI had this intelligence. The DOJ had the exact same intelligence that's in the indictment since the 1990s. And this is what they've come up with. It took them 25 years to put this together. There's no new victims. The victims came to them in the 1990s. What the hell kind of sham are they trying to pass? And people,
Mike, I think a lot of people are concerned that we haven't seen a mug shot or a paparazzi photo or a cell phone video of Maxwell in custody. You were telling me in a conversation. You may never see her again. Yeah. But why no mug shot? I mean, they released Chauvin's mugshot like that. Even Epstein's mugshot. We saw it right away.
My Marshall guys tell me that it was a recent decision in the last, maybe 24 months or so. The Marshal Service isn't obligated to release the mugshots anymore publicly. So they haven't been doing it, but they will in some cases, I guess. But in this case, they're not. Chauvin in Minnesota.
It seems like everybody would want to see this. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Well, we found out that what everybody wants and then what the federal government decides to give them are obviously many times two different things. But the Chauvin mugshot in Minneapolis, that's a state case. So it's not bound by the marshals. That's a state case, I believe. It's a state capital case, murder. So murder 2, I think it is now. So they can cut the mugshot loose of him, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say whether I don't know. I think the marshals processed her in New Hampshire, And if they didn't, she's processed now in New York. So there's at least she probably got double mug shots. I would think she got processed in New Hampshire at some point. They have to do that before they, as an intake, before they lock you up, and then they probably do the same thing when she gets down to New York, and so that there's definite mug shots. Again, it's hard to say, man. A lot of this stuff could be it's like one riddle after another with these cases. You know, they don't fit the mold of a regular case.
And why would they be having her in Brooklyn? You know, Jeffrey Epstein, they had him in the Southern District over at 500 Pearl Street. We're hearing that Maxwell is going to be arraigned in the Eastern District of New York in Brooklyn. Why would they do that?
I have no idea. I talked to you about that yesterday. That's a head scratcher. I think it's a Southern District of New York case, so who knows what they're doing.
I mean, none of that seems to make sense, right?
Doesn't make any sense to me, but it could be that's where her lawyer wanted it to go down. You know, it could be a lot of things. Since when do
lawyers get to decide where your criminal case is tried?
Well, when your lawyer's in the club, there's a lot of give and take, and her lawyer's in the club. Her lawyer was an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York.
Well, used to be, you mean? It couldn't be now.
Well, no, but I'm saying, you know, once you're in the SDNY club, you're always in the SDNY club. You work with Comey, he's friends with Comey. Who's prepping the case, Jason?
Maureen Comey.
He's friends with her dad. This is her lawyer.
Really?
And we'll get into that tonight. So, and he's friends with McCabe. And
wow.
He's not a fan of President Trump. So
right.
Goes on and on and on. Of all the lawyers she could have picked, she ends up with this one just by happenstance, I guess. Yeah, bullshit.
Right.
So it's one thing after another, my friend, and none of it adds up. And at this point, they don't even care about optics. They're not even trying to hide anything, you know. And we'll talk about some telltale signs about her arrest that I haven't really delved into even on my shows, and that'll help further prove the case that she was handled as a special case. You asked me last week privately. I said, yeah, this thing is like kind of was handled differently than it would have been me or anybody else. I mean, look what they did to myself and Stone and Manafort, you know.
Right.
It wasn't handled this way, and there's reasons for that, and we'll discuss that tonight. And it's very telling. It's very telling about their seriousness, and also about some of the charges that are in the indictment that makes no sense whatsoever, and why she was charged with what she was charged with. And also my predictions that she wouldn't be charged with anything heavy. Some people are saying, you said she wouldn't be charged with anything at all. I said at the time, and this was just a week previous, so you and I did shows on this, and I did a podcast on a couple of days before Berman was fired. I said that she wasn't going to be charged with sexual assault or these heavier things. I had no idea that she would be charged with what she was charged with. That's almost a slap in the face. I didn't think they would go there.
Yeah.
So when I said she wasn't going to be charged and she was going to walk free, in my mind, I'm talking about real things that matter, not these ancillary things. That was a surprise that she was charged with so little compared to what she could have been charged with. And the fact that the indictment actually describes victim was sexually assaulted by Maxwell, allegedly, and then the indictment doesn't charge her with it. It's like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
It's a slap in the face. So, and there was a lot of turmoil inside SDNY, and we can talk about that too. Well,
let's talk about it for a second now, because Berman was fired just a few weeks ago.
I think this was slapped together. I
Right.
think it was slapped together because Barr's DOJ got a lot of pushback when Berman was fired from other prosecutors, former prosecutors in the DOJ, and there's a lot of upheaval inside the DOJ, and then they came to me and said nothing's going to happen with her. She's going to, she's going to walk away free. So that's what we reported. And then a week later, this thing comes out, and it reads like somebody pulled an all-nighter in college trying to slap a term paper together, and it's like, this is what you get. You can tell it's rushed. Jason, they used allegations that are 25 years old. They've been investigating her for a year, and that's what they came up with.
Well, and haven't the statute of limitations run on something 25 years old?
No, not on
conspiracy,
child exploitation of a minor.
Right.
Those mostly there's no statute on those, no criminal statute on those. There may be in some. I'm talking about federal court.
Right.
There may be in some state courts and things like that, but federal court, if you violate a minor, it's the statute is pretty much open.
Let me ask you this, Mike,
reason.
Because Zero Hedge has a story here. They're saying, this is just from earlier today, Ghislaine Maxwell goes from posh hideout to COVID-stricken third world country, New York jail. Now, we were just looking on Google Maps. It looks like a modern facility. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Brooklyn, but I don't think it's a third world country necessarily. Interesting also that they refer to it as a COVID-stricken jail. I understood that the genius in Albany had released everybody from jail to avoid getting COVID.
Well, that would be the next play if they're going to do something with it, right? That she got sick and she has to be moved to a hospital and that kind of thing. And
right.
They had to put her on a ventilator and now there is no more.
Right.
Ghislaine Maxwell. They wheeled her out at 7 a.m, and there's a blurry photo from the New York Post, and here we go again.
Now, wait a minute. The Intercept is saying that the number of reported coronavirus symptoms far exceeds the number of tests the MDC has performed. We are being so set up here, Mike. I am 100% with you. The next thing that we hear is going to be that she's got coronavirus. The hearing is going to be stayed, and then she's never going to go to trial. She's going to be dead of coronavirus, according to them. The Intercept is reporting Nick Pinto says, medical expert, federal jail, intentionally destroying medical records and hiding extent of coronavirus behind bars in Brooklyn, New York. This is from May 1st. Ooh, this is a story they've been cooking up for quite a while. Do you know Nick Pinto, the journalist?
No.
Do you know why the Pinto was such a sales disaster in Mexico? The AMC Pinto?
No. It's
apparently Spanish slang for extremely small male genitals. So the car didn't sell well. I don't believe this story at all they're putting her in this jail where they've already had a story from May about coronavirus outbreak. This whole thing stinks, Mike.
Well, this is the way it works. They're gonna protect her, I think, or maybe not protect her, but they're going to protect the people she knows. And the stories about her cooperating are nonsense.
Right.
Far too early for that. It would be far too early for her to cooperate. She just got arrested. Mm-hmm. And was there some negotiations before she got arrested with her lawyer? I would say there's a high probability of that. Yeah. So that's perhaps why you see some charges that don't really fit the crime, so to speak. And we'll talk about that tonight. And the strategy of a U.S. attorney, assistant U.S. attorney, when they put the case together, and a U.S. attorney to not charge somebody heavy-handed so that even if she does have to do jail time or something, it won't be very long. I mean, she's 58. The charges that, it's just so many variables. And there are some statutes mentioned in the indictment. We can talk about it in a little bit. Don't even fit what they're talking about. So when I say this is literally like slapped together, I'm convinced of that. I think after Berman was fired, the information we got was that most people thought she was gonna walk away on the heavier stuff, and there was a lot of pushback in the media, especially. And it looks like they slapped this thing together, because if they had done any of their homework and interviewed the dozens of witnesses involved in this through 30 years you're talking about, they would have come up with a better than 2 people in the indictment with allegations from 1990s. and one person with allegations from the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Now, correct me
That's
if I'm
it.
wrong,
That's all the
Mike.
indictment is.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
But
If you've got some high value suspect like Ghislaine Maxwell and you want her to reveal other people who are involved in a conspiracy, you're not going to make the indictment light. You're going to make it heavy so that the person is incentivized to make a deal. It's like any kind of negotiation. You want to come in high so that when they go low, you land somewhere in the middle, right?
if you're serious about taking somebody like this down or taking them out, however you want to put it legally, you drop a bank safe on their head.
Right.
You don't hit them over the head with a pillow. This isn't a
Right.
pillow fight. You come hard and you negotiate downward from there. And you make it seem like we don't even care who you give up. You're going away for the rest of your life.
Right.
And if that's all we get out of it, then fine. That's fine. But to come in like this, again, this was thrown together in a haphazard manner, as I've said in the last 10, 15 minutes, based on the fact that Berman, I don't know whether Berman wanted to go harder. We heard he wanted to go harder. And there's a lot of tug of war.
That would make sense.
It's hard to get,
that they got rid of him because
does.
he wanted to go hard, and then they come and arrest her and do nothing.
Off.
Right.
Well, he was holding off because they had to get these ducks in a row. I mean, if you have dozens of witnesses and you're putting a case together, a year is pushing it. Okay, a year is pushing it really because you have to have everything lined up.
You mean to build the case?
And if you're going to do it, yeah, I mean, and there's no rush. There's absolutely no rush because there's no statute. You're not racing against the clock. Like Durham in Connecticut, he's racing against a 5-year clock and time is running out. But if you're investigating Maxwell and Epstein, there's no hourglass. You can take your time and do it right. So if they were Berman was looking to put 6, 7, 10, 12 victims in there that are recent and load up on it, then it makes sense. What we've been told, that he wanted to go harder, he got tossed out, and they came out with this like indictment light. I mean, I've said it straight out. It's embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, I've just learned, I didn't realize this until right now, but it looks like Jeffrey Berman is going to be testifying before a congressional committee this Thursday. Do you know anything about that?
Well, yeah, it depends on what he says. I mean, he's not going to give up anything that happened behind closed doors, I don't think. A lot of that stuff is work product. There's still a criminal case, so he can't say too much. So, it's just another dog and pony show, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you can't really say much. This is still an active criminal case, and the Department of Justice could make the public claim that, this, because they always do this, right? This is just the beginning, and this is the diving board. It's all bullshit, though. If the diving board is this low at the outset, I'm not going to be able to build from it. Yeah. It's like you said, you want to build a high dive,
right?
A really powerful big case, and then work your way down. You don't file the indictment and work your way up. This isn't like a RICO. You're not taking on a conspiracy. This is one single person indictment. You know what I mean?
Yep. So, Mike, we're just about out of time over here, and we're going to head over to Patreon and Subscribestar. People can watch tonight's show either on patreon.com/truepundit, subscribestar.com/truepundit, or Patreon and Subscribestar/crowdsource the truth. Looking forward to seeing everybody over there. We're going to go in depth on this and more. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in a few minutes.